What is up, my ninjas? I'm Strident, and I am back with a look at the Mattel Create a Superstar collection. I managed to pick up 3 of these guys. Of course, Akiba Red is present, posing with them, looking thorough. This essentially is what the Fwoosh should have done. Mattel probably saw it and was like, hey, we can quickly make a buck doing this simple thing. These essentially are characters that you can add to your various collections and mix and match them to better fit within those collections. The cool thing about these guys is that they kind of come out of the box with an aesthetic that lends itself directly to something you might already collect. You know what I mean? Like The Rock and Triple H, which is the Gladiator set, and just The Rock set. They feel like they could fit in your Motu collection. You know what I'm saying? Your Rey Mysterio in the Lucha set, he looks like something from Motu also, or from, with the Hawkman wings, obviously something from, you know, comics in some kind of way. So I'm gonna go through and, you know, just talk about these guys because they're pretty dope. The Rock, they went off with the whole Brahma Bull aesthetic, or the idea, and they built his suit around that, or his design around that. Even did things to go as far as make his tattoo, which traditionally is seen as armor, into physical armor to match his kind of Dragonborn-esque helmet and everything else, which I think is awesome. The cool thing too is that like everything, just about everything is removable, you know? So you can take the helmet off and it reveals a really perfect Rock sculpt. I mean, wow. Mattel is really showing you that they can do something, you know, at a $12 price point. Same thing goes for the Lucha set. This was the harder one for me to find. But, you know, you kind of got this Hawkman, Birdman, Luchador-esque feel. And, you know, you can see some of the cool engineering that the Horsemen typically do translated into this, just for a kid to use how their imagination sees fit. To me, this is why we, you know, we get into action figures. Your imagination needs to soar when you see these things. Triple H did a really good job with him, making him into a gladiator. So he is more of a tough kind of fighter character. You know what I'm saying? And his body and his mannerisms kind of fit that. The cool thing about the deluxe sets, which is Triple H and the Lucha set, which is Rey Mysterio, and there's another one out there, I think. I could be wrong. I think the Undertaker's coming soon. So that you pretty much get 2 figures in one. Look at the head sculpt for Triple H. It's fucking dope. You know what I mean? Like, this is what we wanted. We wanted figures that aren't super expensive, that we could army build if we want, and we could also use the parts for customs if we want. And, you know, we could get little accessories to add to what we already have. We did not want to have to spend an arm and a leg to get things that you would be army building, because that doesn't even make sense. If they cost as much as a, you know, big name character, then you're probably going to get less of them. I mean, I know some people make bank and can just drop $1,000 on toys, but still, the majority of us are not going to do that. But as you can see, they come with tons of accessories. I mean, some of them don't even make sense for the character, but then again, it is a Create a Superstar, so you can use these parts as you see fit. Guitar, that came probably from The Rock and the Honky Tonk Man and all those other earlier releases. It's pretty cool. Jake Roberts' Snake. And it could be a different Snake. I'm just going to say it's Jake Roberts' Snake because he's the prominent wrestler that had a snake and that was part of his gimmick. The detail's already there. I mean, the only thing you're lacking on these guys is like paint wash, which I don't even mind, because for what you're getting, whatever. If for this I'm supposed to put the wash on, I can deal with that. You know what I mean? You get tattoos for the figure. I mean, I guess theoretically you can put them on yourself if you want to, but I mean, come on, look how small these things are. So if you have an idea of a tattoo that you want your guy to have, there they go. Now, the detailing is what I have to point out. This is a $12 figure right here, because he is just the standard figure in the box, 1 or 2 accessories, and you can take him apart to use him and other stuff. Not only is the head sculpt perfect, because they've already mastered that, But just look at all the sculpting detail or sculpted detail on his shoulder armor and his armored arm. Even the paints match way more closely than what we get from some other, collections. And this is a $12 figure. When I tell you that it can be done, here's your example. And I know there's going to be somebody in the audience that's going to try to, be the authority and try to hate and whatnot. But, go back and look at the other videos. Look around YouTube and you'll see what I'm talking about. You don't even get this level of quality with your legends on the the regular. Some figures require this, but when they do, they're just going to reuse parts from some other character, so you don't even get unique sculpts. All these characters have different body types because their original figures already had different body types, and then the ones that have like a gimmick added to them, like design-wise, it's unique sculpt. This is what we've wanted. This is what I've wanted. I know I'm not making this up, This is more of Triple H up close, and he's got this skull motif, because a lot of times you see his gear, his entrance gear, he's been having the skull and the Iron Cross and all that stuff somehow worked into the design. I think recently or a year ago he had like the Terminator kind of worked in there, so it looks good. I mean, this could fit right in with your Motu stuff. He's kind of like a Elseworld Spartan, you know what I'm saying? I like it. I like it a lot. He actually is the one I play with the most, because as soon as I put this together, I was like, huh, I might go back and get more. Rey Mysterio or the Lucha set has these wings that come from, obviously, DCUC Hawkman, but they've been kind of made out of cheaper materials, and they don't have any paint on them. When I say cheaper, I don't mean less durable. I just mean cheaper in the construction, because you can pop the articulated part of the upper wing. You can just pop it right out. So it's not held in there as tightly as the one from the actual DCUC. The actual wings themselves still have the exact same articulation that the DCUC Hawkman and Hawkgirl had, which is dope. I mean, like, here's an accessory you could possibly use on a different figure if you wanted to make a different type of Hawkman, maybe the Flash Gordon Hawkman. Boots, you can see they've got the bird motif. They're also made out of a rubbery material, which is pretty cool, which means you don't have to worry so much about stress when you're posing him and whatnot. Same goes for the head. And the sculpt is pretty nice, Look at the paint on those eyes. No googly Marvel Legends eyes. I love it. It just shows that they gave a damn, and they're giving you some bang for your buck. That's what it's all about. Let's do a quick comparison. I'm going to compare him to an Elite figure. I just have this one Elite figure, which is the weird Hulk Hogan from the 90s, that one weird appearance. But same relative scale, same relative points of articulation. And The Rock has something else to say. And there is a gimmick, of course, and I mentioned it already, and you know this if you're here. The construction is as such that you can pull apart just about everything. What's awesome, though, is that even in the head, and I want to start with the head, just like I would with the articulation, it works so well. This isn't a ball peg so much as, like a traditional ball peg is what we're used to, but it just works. Like, it fits in there perfectly. And then, when you put it on again, you still retain like insane, almost DC collectibles, somewhat Marvel, I say DC collectibles range of motion, maybe more, because he can look up very well. He can look down very well. I mean, I was like, wow. And it's cool too, because I mean, obviously with this range of motion, say you wanted to use this as a base body for a custom. There you go. And you can build them up. They're kind of light, so I'm pretty sure that they were able to cut down on shipping costs because they don't weigh very much. Just, design-wise, the heads are made out of a rubbery plastic that still matches the harder plastic. The paint is the same on the face and the rest of the body, and it doesn't chip off. And then everything else is the construction you're used to with some tweaks, They don't have double-jointed knees like the Elite figures do. And they don't have T-jointed hips. They have ball-jointed hips, kind of. Ball peg hips. So they can They can do splits. They can, you know, move forward and back. It's pretty dope. I was like, wow, this is actually pretty impressive considering the price point and the gimmick. You know, the gimmick is to keep pulling them apart, putting them back together, pull them apart, put them back together. This Rock figure is going to stay like this in my collection because I like this look. He could be somebody who's been captured and been fighting in the gladiatorial pits, you know? He could be from Atlantis or something, the new Atlantis with Momoa as Aquaman. So I love that. And then the helmet, it works with everybody else too. I was impressed to see that. Here it is on Triple H's head. This is so smart, you know what I mean? And I didn't have to break the bank. I think buying 3 of them, I didn't break the bank. So, you know, and I stress the price because, like I said, we got lives to live and we got things that we have to do. We don't want to have to stress when it comes to our favorite things like our hobby. You know what I'm saying? So I'm pretty impressed with this, you know. Going back to, you know, like the Triple H figure, if you want to switch the head, it's so simple. You already have each head looking pretty cool. All the regular faces have really good sculpts. You just pop off the piece you want to pop off, and you simply replace it with the piece that you want to put on. So like if I'm going to designate that helmet for Triple H as a Spartan or something, here he is with his helmet off, you know? It's just like, wow. And normally I don't like this stuff. I mean, this is the kind of stuff I was buying for my son, my younger son, and he was kind of not ready for it, you know. He was pulling them apart and breaking the mashers, the Marvel mashers. So this is, you know, Mattel's answer to that, and it's actually pretty damn smart, you know. These are figures that already sell themselves very well, and now they have another dimension to them. It's awesome. So you can remove the head, shoulders, waist, thigh, boot cut. You can't separate the knees or the elbows or the wrists, but I'm sure someone will figure that out. But the deluxe sets come with, most of them come with an extra torso and then extra boots or, you know, extra arms so that you can switch those out to give your character a different design. And then they have different heads also to go with them, as well as capes and cloaks and all that. It really spices up the looks that you can end up with. If you want thugs for your, you know, Masters of the Universe people to fight, here you go. You can mix and match the same set several different ways to get different characters, like so. Maybe you want your character to look more traditional. You don't want them to look as out there. All you do differently, simple things like change the head, change the boots. In this case, let me change the head so you can see that. Change the head, give him, you know, someone with a beard, so we'll use the Triple H head. It's perfect. He looks like something straight out of Masters of the Universe, you know, or some kind of sword and sandals epic of some sort, you know what I mean? Like he looks like some guy you'd see in there, or like Mad Max or something. As you can see, though, when you look at them up close, the way they are, standard, different body types. That second torso is still the shape of and the size of Triple H's torso. Let's say you want to switch it up. There you go. And this is minimal stuff because I still kind of want them to look cool. But, I mean, look at that. Remember I mentioned the Flash Gordon Hawkman? There you go. It's just really nice to have fun with a figure or figures based on a gimmick that actually makes sense. You know, how often do we get that? It's like something we never see. So I'm beyond happy to see this. And the price point is perfect. It's just right up my alley when it comes to, you know, enjoying the figures that I buy. You know, when I come across these guys as I walk past my shelves, I got to pick them up and play with them because they're just so much fun. But they're so sturdy that I don't have to worry about, like, are they going to break if I keep popping parts, you know, off and on? Which I'm not going to do. I'm pretty much going to find a configuration that works for me, and then that's going to be the character that they are. So if I see these guys again, I'll probably get most of them a second time, so I can make that guy you're looking at right there and leave him as a character. I can switch up, you know, helmets and stuff with different characters and make new characters that will be lasting parts of my collection until I get tired of looking at them. And you know, that's one of the best things about this. It's just adding another dimension of fun to your figures. I mean, that's what this is all about. Action figures should be fun. If you don't want to buy, you know, expensive name brand superheroes, here you go. Here's your alternative. You know what I mean? Make up your own superheroes using the wrestlers as bases. It's perfect. I know some people use these guys as kind of no-name wrestlers to get their asses whooped in their various action figure wrestling leagues, but you know, the possibilities are endless. You can have new Justice League members. You can do whatever you want, and you know, that's the point. The sky's the limit. So this is it's all win, man. It's all win. I'm glad they did this. The Fwoosh needs to take note instead of making expensive, cheap figures. I figured I'd give you a look at the articulation instead of just mentioning it. So we'll start with the head. Perfect ball joint, just like I mentioned earlier. It's on a beautiful kind of hinge, a peg system, I mean. Shoulders, no obstruction, 90-degree bend at the elbow, swivel at the elbow as well. No obstructions, like I said, at the shoulder. You could do 360 if you want to. I don't do that. Swivel at the waist. You have anatomically correct hips. They go up that far. They go out very far for nice kicks. So his Van Damage is up there. And that's a nice thing because you just want to play. You want to pick them up and play. There is a single bend at the knee. There is a boot swivel. And you can point and pull the feet upward. There's no toe joint, but they're made of a nice rubber, so it makes it really easy to play with them. Oh yeah, and then there's a swivel at the wrist. It's a swivel at wrist. It's a dope figure. It's just very basic. All the figures have the same articulation. It's easy to play with. What else could you want, you know? What we have here is a company that's been in the game for a long time, using their knowledge, using their, you know, resources in a way that makes sense both for them economically and for the customer or consumer when economically, you know. Price-wise, it's not super expensive. It's still about the price that you would pay for either the, you know, standard wrestlers in their you know, with limited articulation, or the elite guys. You're paying $20 or you're paying around $12 for the others. The sculpts, the designs, they're imaginative. Most of the sculpting looks really good. The paint is on point. No sloppy googly eyes and all that weird stuff. The characters themselves are made in such a way that you can kind of, what's the word I'm looking for? It commands interplay because you have to use them together. If you get a bunch of them, you're going to want to see how this character looks with this person's parts, or how this weapon looks with this guy, or whatever. So, you know, it's one of those things where it's helping give this more life, so you won't be bored with these guys, and you will enjoy putting them in various situations, you know, that you would normally put your superheroes in, you know, or your wrestlers, you know, whatever. They work, they fit. So kudos to Mattel. You know, as much as I hate the stuff they did with DCUC, and I hate some of the multiverse stuff that I see, I have to give them props here, because this is making use of a property that you already have assets for, that you don't really have to go out of the way to do anything. And you see how they're sculpting on top of bodies that exist? This is what I wish Hasbro would do instead of being cheap. Resculpt details, new details on old bodies. Yeah, you'll have to make a new mold, but it'll pay itself off in no time, because that's what we want. So, you know, once again, this is some A+ stuff here. Really well thought out, really fun, you know, just quality stuff, you know, like almost like the old days, you know, when all these companies were trying to do something different. You know, each of them weren't trying to do exactly the same thing. They knew their strengths, and they were playing on those strengths. So this has been my review of the Mattel Create a Superstar line. The three in this were the Gladiator, Lucha, and just the Rock basic set. The Lucha and the Gladiator were the deluxe sets. A+ stuff. Pick them up if you see them. That's my story, and I'm sticking to it. I will catch you guys in the next video. As always, thank you. You guys have been great. Peace outside.